Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kick Media. My name is Brendan Comerford. Today's topic, we're going to run through a continuation of our four-part webinar series that we've been running for the last few weeks. We're up to part 3, which is convert more leads into sales. So we'll get underway. I assure you've all had a fantastic Christmas and holiday break. We have, and we're ready to get back into it and really excited about 2015, and we hope you are as well. So hopefully this will be beneficial for helping you to develop your marketing plans for this year. Very important topic, so let's get into it. So to start with, let's just go through, I guess, the basic concept. So obviously the 4 digital pillars that we've been covering: target better quality traffic, convert more traffic into leads, convert more leads into sales, and finally, which is next week's webinar, track where leads and sales come from. And these 4 pillars really complete the overall digital, and not even just digital, but general marketing strategy that everyone must understand in terms of concepts and implement in some form or another throughout every aspect of their business. So last week we focused on converting more traffic into leads. This week there may be some overlap from previous webinars in terms of the methods used. However, the purpose this time is to convert more leads into sales. So there will be some differences in our approach. Now, the only question to focus on at this stage of marketing is how can I influence more leads to buy now and choose our service over our competitors? So the 2 keywords there are now and competitors. As we mentioned last week, most people shopping or inquiring online are not ready to buy now. They're just window shopping, or they're planning ahead for something or to get something done. So your goal as marketers is how can I influence them to stop procrastinating and do it now and not later. We talked about using powerful offers last week, but the goal is not to give you their contact details. Now the goal is to buy. So what is the benefit for someone to buy now rather than later, and how are you going to communicate that to them? Next, now that you have their contact details, how are you going to ensure that your competitors don't swoop in and snatch the deal from under you? Let me give you an example. Just recently, actually, there's a competitor agency in our industry, actually, that they built a reputation over the years. It's not so great. They've had to have a name change recently. And obviously their business revolves around making thousands of calls each week. Now, I give them credit for doing this. It's a little bit spammy, but it works for them and they're very successful in doing that. But I'm sure the average business does not have the resources to go and hire 10 or 15 telemarketers. Now, I had a potential client, actually, I spoke with last year, and they've since then they've been getting contacted by this company over and over again, I followed up this client maybe once or twice, but nothing like this other agency. And I received a call from this potential client literally this week, actually, and he's going to sign up with us. And he told us that the other agency's been harassing them with so many calls. And look, I agree with follow-up; it's fantastic, but most people, like I said, don't have the resources to go and hire a full-time telemarketing team, and you don't have to. I'm going to show you how you can still convert leads into sales without having to be aggressively following up on the phone 100 times. Okay, and I'm going to show you how we do that today. Now, the solution is still follow up. Okay, you can't rely on qualified leads to get back to you. It's just not the human nature. Most people are generally procrastinating, and yes, they want what you have, but they generally need to have a gentle nudge to go ahead and commit to a buying decision. But you also can't rely on calling them over and over again, like I just mentioned. So we use a 4-pronged strategy for most, but not all of the leads that we obtain, and you should be doing the same thing. And in this sequence, you can see here on the right-hand side, leads that we obtain will first see our remarketing on various websites. Then we send a personalized email. Then we call to follow up. And sometimes we will actually post them something, either what we call a shock and awe pack. If you haven't heard of that, it's basically a fancy-looking folder with valuable education material and something memorable, something of value for them. I often recommend to clients to include something in your pack that is unique and leaves an impression and will likely be kept. So when I say post, I'm talking physical post here, and I know it's not a digital strategy, but it's now actually working quite well. And even though we do digital strategies, we always recommend you should have a good direct mail campaign in addition to follow alongside it. An example of one that we created for a client recently was called, or we're actually in the middle of developing at the moment, and we're rebuilding a site for them as well. A Bullseye Glass Repair. Now most of their work comes from maybe 2 or 3 real estate agents who manage rental properties, and you obviously get a lot of referrals. And windows are always needing to be repaired, but it's so competitive getting in with a new real estate agent or rental manager. So we came up with a range of ideas to get the attention of more real estate managers for them, and one of them is a little bit creative, a bit out there. It's actually a Nerf dart board game that we came up with, a concept, and the bullseye is actually their logo, Bullseye Glass, so quite clever, and printed on the dartboard, and it's all Velcro, it's nothing dangerous. We print little images of windows and little score points in each, and you have to throw the Velcro dart and break the window. So something unique, fun, and you can imagine if you send that to every single real estate manager in Brisbane, the goal is, or the plan is to send it out to them, but the goal is to be memorable and have something in their office that they can keep for future reference. Now, we can get these things built and designed in China and shipped quite cheaply. And nearly every industry nowadays is competitive, and you have to do something different. You need to stand apart, and don't be afraid to be creative and take risks. And that's an example from your postal, but you need to have an example in all aspects of your marketing, your remarketing, your email, your call strategy, something unique that stands apart. And if you can do that, you can do quite well. Right, next slide. Now, there are some additional steps that you can take to convert more leads into sales. This one, obviously, how can I ensure more leads convert into a sale the first time they visit my website or make an inquiry? Now, we know that less than 3 to 5% of people will contact or buy from you the first time they visit your website. So, the low-hanging fruit to start with is target better quality traffic in the first place. As discussed in the first pillar, ensure you are not paying for information traffic or window shoppers, and only for traffic that is in the decision phase of the buying cycle. So, be careful of your keyword selection. It's critical, especially if you're doing Google AdWords or SEO. The next approach for that is optimize your website, to convert better than your competitors' websites. And we covered the principles last week with conversion rate optimization. Sorry, not last week, but last webinar. So don't be afraid to try different offers. I think in a previous webinar I gave you an example of when I went to get new tires for my car, and when I was calling around, they offered me, not the best price, but it was a good value price. But they then said, look, we'll give you, if you bring it in today, we'll give you a free wheel alignment. We're doing a special offer this week, and I was hooked. Straight away, gave me a special offer, had an urgency to it, meaning bring it in today and I'll do this for you. Great script, really friendly, and it worked. Okay, so I had a special offer. Also, don't be afraid to offer price or value guarantees if you're not concerned, obviously, about appearing exclusive, or you've got a brand that is priced. You don't want it to be considered the cheapest. But even if you are not the cheapest, you know what? It doesn't matter. You will experience a large spike in immediate sales if you offer this. Give an example. Officeworks heavily promote lowest prices guaranteed, and they'll beat any price by 5%. Now, I can tell you now, Officeworks is the most expensive. It's not the cheapest in the market. We never get, and sorry, Officeworks, but we never get our stationery from Officeworks because it's a ripoff, but it works for them, and most people will believe what they say. They'll believe what you say. If you say you are the cheapest or you'll beat any price, they will buy from you. Okay. Now, if you are following up and you know this person, so in your situation, if you're following up a lead either on the phone or via email and it's personal, you know that their priority is price, and you know that they're probably going to, the next step is they're going to go and call all your competitors to get the best price. Offer them a price guarantee in exchange for them deciding right now. Okay, if later they find a cheaper price, you can either give them a credit or a bonus, or even the difference in cash back. Now, that won't suit every business, but it does work. I've had a client a few years ago that was struggling, and by implementing this principle, we completely transformed their business, among other things we did for them. Their conversion rates of sales from first-time inquiry, so from the first time someone inquired via the form or via phone, we tripled their conversion rate instantly. Now, they had to honor a few price guarantees here and there that came back a few weeks later, but so what? They tripled their sales conversion rate, tripled it. So, the cost of having to give a few price guarantees and versus tripling your conversion rate, you can see the logic in what was very successful in that strategy. Again, doesn't work for every business, but again, you need to look at those other things as well. Special offers, and it's not always about price or discounts. It's about having a unique offer, which we covered last week. Now, converting more leads into sales, another tip here, and this is an activity I recommend every business implement, especially if you have a sales team and you get a lot of inbound inquiries, particularly ones that are over the phone. And here's what I would give you a task or a challenge for you to do in your business. Okay, record all the sales calls that your team makes. Okay, or the inbound calls. Have a system in place to be able to record calls. There's lots of technology that can do that nowadays, especially if you've got a PBX or a VoIP system. Mystery shop your competitors, record those calls as well, and then compare the difference. Simple, guys. It's such a simple activity that will make a dramatic effect on your ability to convert more leads into sales. And here's the key questions to ask yourself. How can we sell ourselves better on the phone? Simple. If you don't know the answer, get a sales coach in. Get someone or a marketing coach to come in and listen and give you advice if you don't know. What are your unique selling points? What are your points of difference? What are your special offers? What are your competitors not offering that you can offer? How can we sell ourselves? How can you build trust? There's a whole heap of things that we covered last week, actually. What would be a great offer to get a commitment on the spot? Think about it. If you can answer that question, questions are the answer. If you can focus on that, think about it. Okay, the universe will come back and will give you some great ideas. Okay, how can we assure people that they don't need to keep shopping around for a better price or value? Now, this is a great question to ask, especially if your strategy is taking advantage of the limited available search volume. We have a client where they have to maximize every possible lead, that inquiry that comes in, because there's just not a lot of people searching for their product or service, yet they still have a lot of competitors. So our strategy firstly is obviously target better quality traffic. That means being in position 1. Not position 2 or 3, but position 1 on Google, so that when they are the first ones being contacted, we need to have a reason for them to not continue shopping around, and that means clicking on someone in position 2, 3, 4, and 5 on Google, because that's what happens. You're being compared, as we talked about last week, against everyone else on Google. And then ask 2 questions. What was good and bad about each phone call? What did the competitors offer that we didn't? And that's a really powerful exercise I encourage everyone to do. Knowing how many leads are being lost to your competitors is very difficult to know. However, at the same time, one of the most valuable estimations you can ever make. So, how many leads are also contacting my competitors and which ones? If you can estimate which of your competitors are taking your leads and turning them into customers, then you can now problem solve how to stop this from happening. And if you can reverse this with your top 3 or 4 competitors, you can potentially transform your entire bottom line revenue and profit for your business. Now, last week we showed you how to do this. How to implement competitor analysis using the AdWords auction reports and using overlap rates to know which competitors could be taking your potential customers. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. Really powerful thing to learn how to do. Once you've identified who your online competitors are, then it's time to start investigating. You should be looking at each website and writing a SWOT analysis of each site, and ideally with the help of someone neutral who is not biased toward your product or service. Ideally, a marketing qualified person would be great, or someone in your team can do this for you. It's important mostly just to get an honest comparison of your website compared to your competitors, and mystery shop their sales process. This means over the phone, or if they have a shopping cart, run through the user journey and critique it as you go. What are the steps in making a purchase? Again, I won't go into that because we covered it last week. But put yourself in the shoes of a consumer, and what experience and first impression would they have from your competitors' websites compared to your website or your business? Okay. Excuse the image there, it's probably not a great one, but I thought it was quite funny. It definitely is. It's almost like a war nowadays. It's getting so competitive that in most industries, everyone knows who their competitors are, especially online. They keep appearing right next to you, and it's becoming quite a bit of an auction or a war going on here. So you need to be really savvy with your competitor analysis. Next, how can I ensure my competitors don't convert my leads into a sale? So again, really just a recap, really, remarketing, email marketing, really good call follow-up scripts, and a great direct mail postal campaign. But first is obviously accepting the fact, before we can get to that level, you need to accept the fact that most people do not contact or buy from you the first time they visit your site. And I know I keep saying that, but remarketing is crucial as a solution. In fact, without remarketing, I would not invest another cent into paid advertising. Remarketing is it's a second chance opportunity to convert leads into an inquiry, and allowing for another point of sale opportunity to occur. You can also think of it as just a second offer. For those who didn't convert the first time, and having something of value to build urgency, especially while they're calling or before they start calling all your competitors. Now, I know some of this is not new. Many marketing gurus call it certain things like 7 steps to something, or the laws of attraction marketing, but generally their concept, they don't have any idea on what they're talking about in terms of practical application. Business success using this requires data, strategy, technology, intelligent targeting tools to achieve maximum profit potential and business growth. Now, if you implement a well-planned remarketing strategy backed by an integrated email marketing strategy, throw in some social media, which I didn't put in there, direct mail, and an effective call follow-up script, you will be creating the most amount of point of sale opportunities needed to convert leads into sales. And keep in mind, guys, that a lead is simply a person who has demonstrated recent interest in your product or service, and you have the ability to communicate with them. So build more point of sale opportunities and watch your business skyrocket by doing all of this. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. We'll be doing another one next week, all focused on how to track where sales and leads came from. Very, very important step to complete the 4 pillars of marketing success. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all again next week. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.